Today, the internet is the most convenient platform for finding books, movies, and music. New pieces of content appear in the network long before their official release, causing copyright holders to lose part of their income. A way to solve the much-discussed problem of copyright observance on the internet had not been found yet. One big nuisance is sites with free online file sharing. So far, attempts at persecuting these sites have only been partly successful. In 2009, a group of young programmers from Perm proposed a new method of monitoring and blocking content-related network traffic. The new service was called Pirate Pay. BitTorrent is one of the most popular file-sharing protocols. It was created in 2001 by the American programmer Bram Cohen. BitTorrent allows distribution of large amounts of data, including music, movies, books, and software.
If someone wants to share some content, whether pirated or non-pirated, he just needs to put it in a certain format on a certain site and describe it. Then everyone can download that content directly from the user who offered the share. The downloaders can each start sharing their own content as well, which means that every single person is technically abusing the copyright, and they should all be caught.
When copyrights are violated like that, nobody buys books and movie tickets anymore, and the right holders are losing their money.
At first, the damage was minor. Nobody understood then how quickly files could be shared. But it's already becoming clear that this file sharing is a serious threat to the industry.
The more people use torrents, the harder it becomes to put a stop to file sharing. There is no centralized content storage site, so it is impossible to cut them short at the source.
The industry recommends getting rid of torrents by simply finding links to protected content and removing as many of them as possible. Typically, sites that host such links are reluctant to cooperate with the copyright owners. Meanwhile, stopping users who have already used a link to download its content is very much more difficult. That would be technologically possible if only there was an opportunity to control traffic in the user's provider network.
The creators of Pirate Pay used to work with internet service providers. They developed particular programs to optimize data transmission and lighten the load on providers' networks. Pirate Pay makes it possible to monitor file sharing in the network and make decisions based on the network traffic patterns.
We developed a product that helps manage torrent traffic. The problem the providers needed our help to solve is basically that the channel load is uneven, and torrents make up to 50% of the bandwidth. Assuming the content is already on the network, we just control the traffic, so as to get rid of external connections to clients already existing within the network.
Having learned to watch the torrent users' connections in the network of one single provider, the Klimenko brothers went on.
We developed our own software solution, which allowed us to join the existing file-sharing network, just like any other regular internet users. So we have a bot for each of the users that we find. As our bots interact with real users, we get to see what content each user is downloading at any given moment. And that's the gist of what Pirate Pay does.
The first year and a half, the company was supported by the founders' personal savings. About 500,000 rubles was invested in the project at that time. The founders of the company applied for financial support to the Microsoft Seed Fund twice, but the first time around, the fund dismissed their idea as too difficult to implement.
They explained how they planned to fight torrents, but their solution demanded complicated changes to administration. Both our experts and the fund's committee told them, guys, it won't work out because your technology is, well, it's impossible to deploy.
A year later, Alexei Klimenko returned to Microsoft with Update. He had taken into account their criticism and revised his work accordingly.
It's a beautiful idea from a technological point of view. It doesn't require any administrative resources anymore, because it works by means of cloud computing. That means the providers, the users, none of them have to be directly involved. That's when we realized what these guys did. They just went on searching for the solution until they found it. And that's something, well, I really admire it. And the team too. Their attitude and motivation changed my mind and influenced the funds committee to finance the project after all.
In the spring of 2011, the Pirate Bay team finally received a grant from the Microsoft Seed Fund for a total of $100,000. This money meant not only continued work on the project, it was also a token of faith from the leading software developers.
The jury was made up of experts, well-known people from the business angel community, and experts in different fields, as well as Microsoft people. They considered our project the best. We got the grant.
Pirate Bay at present does more than just monitor torrent traffic and downloads. The developers claim that they have turned their program into a weapon that can put a stop to illegal downloads and shares.
So let's say that we find a protected file and it appears in the torrent network, right? We connect with the cloud that's sharing this file. And then we can prevent its users from sharing that file with each other. We prevent the illegal act itself, and by doing that, we protect the user from possible persecution. We work regardless of what other users think or what torrent administrators think. So basically, we don't have any geographical boundaries. We can work anywhere.
Of course, Pirate Bay is not the only service fighting illegal downloading on the internet. There are other companies that remove links to protected content on agreement with copyright holders. Also, there were attempts at making the providers themselves responsible for illegal downloads happening through their network.
There was this single case when 6 British film studios sued British Telecom, the major UK provider, a little like Rostelecom in Russia, and they won. British Telecom was obliged to block access to Britain's main torrent and monitor it to exclude the possibility of its reappearance under another name. And the funny thing is that British Telecom had to do it all at its own expense.
Pirate Bay creators hope to beat competitors through so-called unfair competitive advantage, although in this case the advantage isn't unfair. Unfair advantage. Unfair competitive advantage, access to key resources, audience, technology, business contacts, by means of which a company can save time and money. Actually, the primary unfair competitive advantage is unequal knowledge. As a rule, the best advisors are the ones that can tip off their partners. Many investors actually demand that entrepreneurs formulate their unfair competitive advantage to prove the viability of their business idea.
There's this legend of a Japanese warrior who was thought to have killed 70 people in one-to-one combat. And one of the duels went like this. A samurai agreed to fight him on an island. And the warrior kept the samurai waiting all day long, and finally, in the evening, he arrived by boat. The samurai was angry and ran at him with his sword, but the crafty warrior just hit him over the head with a paddle. Though in this story, the warrior had an unfair competitive advantage: the long wait and the paddle.
Pirate Bay has not disclosed its paddles yet. The secrecy, though intriguing, does nothing to explain how the company plans to prevent the sharing of pirated copies of copyright products.
The company's offers are a little vague. Their website has a description citing experts that claim they are indeed planning to monitor the traffic in torrent networks. But in truth, this isn't really that difficult. Scanners for monitoring such activity have been around for a while. The second issue is a legal one. It is permissible to monitor the traffic in the first place if its content is predominantly legal.
The creators of Pirate Bay will have to answer these questions when they introduce their product to the Russian and international markets. Andrew and Alex feel certain that their solution will sooner or later lead to a completely new system of file sharing online.
I really believe that in about a year's time, we will be able to demonstrate a distribution model where torrent content is bought and then protected from further sharing. Our goal is to stop the user who buys the content from being able to share it with others.
If these plans work out, the download button in torrent networks will be replaced by a buy button. Nobody can tell for sure if this will put a stop to illegal file sharing. But if the Pirate Bay technology does catch on, it may turn out that buying content legally will be simpler and cheaper than inventing new ways of illegal sharing.